The Detroit Lions travel to Chicago tonight to take on their NFC North Division rival Chicago Bears. BETDAQ currently has Chicago installed as a 5-point and 6.5-point favorite, both markets being offered 47.5 the total in this game. And look, Detroit has been one of the most disappointing teams in the league this year. I know they're coming off a win, but still 2-3 overall, 1-4 against the spread. This is a team that won 10 games last year, and most people viewed them as a team on the rise. You know, they've got a lot of good young players who are just coming into their prime. They just haven't been able to put it together this season. It's hard to put your finger on what it is so far. When you look at the numbers don't look that bad. Top 10 in the NFL in both total offense and total defense. But those numbers can be a little misleading because in a couple of those games, especially the offensive numbers, in a couple of those games, Detroit was way down and sort of picked up some garbage time yards there at the end of the game. Still, we know this Detroit offense is explosive. They definitely have some pieces. They're going to look to test the Chicago secondary tonight. Now, the secondary was the Achilles heel of the Chicago Bears team last year. And even though they're playing much, much better this year, they're currently 13th in the NFL against the pass. Still, if you're going to attack this Bears defense, it has to be the secondary because they are really, really good against the run. Number one in the NFL right now in run defense. Also number one in the NFL in points allowed. I mean, when you look at the Bears, here is a team that is number one in the league in points allowed and number 3 in the league in points scored. They're 4-1 right now, also 4-1 against the number. So you don't hear a lot of people talking about the Bears as the best team in the NFL, but maybe they should start. And if they put forth another impressive performance tonight on Monday night in front of the football-watching world, you might hear more people jump on that Chicago bandwagon and say that maybe this team is a Super Bowl contender. Now, I've been one of those people who have been hesitant to jump on the Chicago bandwagon. A lot of it has to do with their quarterback, Jay Cutler. I don't trust Cutler. He's a hard guy to bet on. He's a hard guy to root for. Sometimes it looks like he just doesn't care. I know I'm not the only person who has that opinion. And I've said the Bears over the last couple of weeks, I've said that in my opinion the Bears are like a team similar to a team like Dallas or the Philadelphia Eagles who could beat anybody in the league but could also lose to anybody in the league. They strike me as a very inconsistent team. But maybe I'm just selling them short. I guess I'm just not giving them enough credit. Because really, when you examine this season, aside from the egg they laid against Green Bay early in the year, and I guess that's why a lot of us still think that about them. We watched that game, and they looked awful. They definitely did not look like a Super Bowl contender in that game. But in the rest of their games, Bears have played really well. And I know they haven't faced the toughest schedule in the league so far, no question about that. But still, can't take away what this team's done. Again, number 1 in the league in points allowed, number 3 in the league in points scored. Tough to find a weakness with this Chicago Bears team tonight, or with the Chicago Bears team right now. Now tonight, again, Detroit is going to try to exploit that secondary. We're going to find out a lot about the Chicago secondary because Detroit hasn't done a whole lot of things right this year, but they do pass the ball very well. Second in the league right now in passing yards per game. And once again, even though the Bears currently 13th in pass defense, we saw this Bears secondary really struggle last year, and it's mainly the same personnel. So a lot of people are just expecting the Bears secondary to sort of show up, that same secondary we saw last year. But maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe they've just improved that much. And the trends in this game point towards the Chicago Bears. I mean, you're looking at Detroit 1-6-1 against the spread in their last 8 road games. The Bears, meanwhile, 5-1 against the number their last 6 Monday night games, 5-2 against the number their last 7 home games. So everything seems to be pointing towards a Bears cover here. However, again, maybe I'm still overrating Detroit. Maybe I'm still underrating Chicago. And because of that, I guess I don't feel really comfortable having to play on this game. But when I look at this, especially when you talk about 6.5 points, which is one of the markets being offered on BETDAQ, and again, maybe I'm selling the Bears short, but this feels like a lot of points in this situation. Detroit needs this game, 2-3. This game would get them to 3-3, sort of right back in things in the NFC North, would pull them to a game out of first. And Chicago, they are inconsistent. They are inconsistent at times. I know this year there's only been one game they've shown that inconsistency. But this feels like it's going to be a very competitive game to me. For some reason, feels like it might be the type of game where 6.5 points might really come in handy. But again, I've been one of the people who's been wrong about Detroit this year. I've backed them a couple of times. I expected them to be better than they are. And so maybe I'm still overrating this team. Maybe I'm still underrating the Chicago Bears. Tonight will tell us a lot. I'm very anxious to watch this game because, again, I have opinions about both teams right now. I think the Bears are the better team. but I think it might be closer than these two teams' records may indicate. But who knows? Chicago might prove me wrong tonight. I'll be watching this game with great interest.